Chef went crazy.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Reco Suave, host of the ProjectBaby&Me podcast, founder of Project Baby Enterprises. I wanted to get on here real quick and I wanted to talk about some controversy that's been going on. Now, before I get into the controversy, I want to state a few things. First off, is I don't glorify, I'm not trying to get on this, or anything that I say in this video is not to try to glorify gangbanging, going to prison, or violence. Two, when I say certain things on this video, it's not to incriminate myself, to say I'm a part of certain things that are going on in life today, because I'm not in the streets. I largely don't know what's going on the streets as far as gangbanging and all that anymore. I've been doing my thing for about 10 years. I also want to say, after that being said, is that I ain't no dropout and I'm not no rat. I'm very known in my neighborhood, especially, I grew up in San Bernardino, on the west side of San Bernardino in Southern California, right off 7th and Mount Vernon. Everybody knows me in that area. I grew up in the projects, you know what I mean? Hung out around 7th and Mount Vernon. A lot of people, anybody knows who I am. And that's all that really matters. And, I didn't go out with my back to the street, my back exposed. You get what I'm saying? So, when I'm getting ready to say, I have every right to say what I'm getting ready to say. Not saying that anybody else doesn't have a right to their opinion, but no disrespect to you. But if you're a dropout or a rat, you kind of don't have that much of a say-so when it comes to these types of things. And if you do want to have a say-so, you got to rectify yourself. And even then, you might not. Anyways, AaronThePlummer recently was talking about unity between so-called black and so-called brown. And it's something that I've always been passionate about inside the streets, when I was gangbanging, in prison, outside, everywhere. I've been very passionate about unity between our communities, right? To me, I know we all have the same ancestors. A lot of people haven't come to that realization yet, which is why I'm going to use the terminology in this video that I'm using. I've also seen a lot of backlash from those who are calling themselves Sureños. And it's funny because this backlash is coming on the internet, and it's like, I come from an era where you didn't air your dirty laundry on the internet. You didn't act all hard on the internet. You didn't act like you did that in real life. So it's nothing against anybody who has a problem with unity. But whereas nobody is above the program, there is a program out here on the streets that is about unity. And any disruption to that program is not going to be welcomed. So with that being said, there's a lot of Sureños who are speaking. I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a few Sureños who are speaking out against unity between so-called black and so-called brown communities, specifically the Mexican and black communities, right? This is beyond me. And I get where the whole racial tension comes from. A lot of it on the streets is in the city of Los Angeles. And then a lot of it comes directly from prison, right? These rules, these regulations that people have to follow in prison, as far as street regulations, street rules, prison laws. There's a lot of politics that go into being in prison, being in jail, all of these things. So for those who are saying they do not want the unity, they are against it, nobody's above the program, etc., all of these things that are being said, what I will say to you is that the program like that exists in prison. Real talk, it exists in prison. You know how I know? I got black homies from the hood. We got black homies from the neighborhood. Not only that, but there's blacks that run with us in prison. So when you're saying nobody's above the program, are you talking to them too? Are you talking to the homies that will go and spread with the black homie that runs with us? Are you keeping that in mind? Do you get how ridiculous that kind of sounds? If you want to be in prison and live by those laws and rules, go ahead, be in prison, live by those laws and rules. But don't come out here trying to separate us. There was a time where we marched together. My mom marched, you know, my mom was a part of the marches for the civil rights era. You know, my grandparents were involved in that as well. I'm sure there's parents out there and grandparents and great grandparents that you have that were involved in organizations like the Black Panther Party and the Young Lords and the Brown Beret organization and other organizations that were about liberating our people and fighting for our people as a whole together in community. Not only that, but if we go back into Mexican history, for those of you who don't want to understand Mexican history, the second president of Mexico, Vicente Guerrero, had African ancestry and he abolished slavery. Not only that, there was more slaves who found freedom in Mexico than running north. And that's just the cold, hard, God's honest truth. So we have to ask ourselves, what happened to make us go back and to think that it's okay to be segregated from each other, to hate each other? A lot of the practices that we all practice together are similar. Why is it that it's okay to hate each other? I don't understand that. Another thing that I believe is that Norteños and Sureños should find some common ground to stand on, especially with the integration of the lower level yards. There's no better time than now for unity. Look at the state of our country. Look at the state of the world. Let's be real. If you're watching and you're paying attention, I don't have to say what's coming here on this video. You already know. And a lot of the people that I talk to, they can see what's coming. And for, largely it's going to be a lot of gang members watching this video, I'm sure. So for you who haven't been paying attention to what's going on, please start paying attention, because unity is the only way we are going to be saved. Ain't nobody going to save us but us. Doesn't nobody care about us but us. As a whole, collectively, we have to stop fighting each other. Nobody is above the program. Which program are you running? You get what I'm saying? Are you running the program that's going to take our people down the path of violence and death and the grave? Or are you running a program that's going to better our people? Commerce, government, economy, citizenship, nationality, these things that really govern men and women and bring us to a better sense of belonging in the community. These are the things that we have to go for. These are the things that we have to build towards. So as a Sureno and as somebody who's lived the life, I've been in prison. And again, I'm not no rat or dropout. I didn't go out, with my back exposed. I believe I have a right to talk about these things and to call for unity. I believe I have a right to ask all homies, especially those who are changing their lives, especially those who stopped going to prison, aren't really gang banging like that anymore, especially those, show the little ones a better way. Not only that, smile at each other. Smile at your fellow brother. Smile at your fellow sister. Ask them how their day is going. Stop walking around mean mugging. Stop looking for reasons to hate each other. Let's look for reasons to love each other. Like each other before we could get to love. I wasn't expecting this to be a long video, but at the end of the day, what we have to think to ourselves is, do we want to see our children buried in the grave? I got a son, and I think about it all the time. I don't want to see him in prison. I don't want to see him dead on a stretcher. Same thing with my daughters, because, girls be getting active too, especially in Cali when it comes to gangbanging. We know what it is. You know what I mean? I don't want to see my daughters go down that path. I don't want to see them marry gang members who end up dying or they're in prison for the rest of their lives. I don't want to see that. It's nothing against the hood. I'm always going to be from where I'm from. It's a part of me. It's never going to go anywhere. But real big homies show the little homies how to get right. And they're not sending them to prison and jail and all of that. And that's just being real. And I learned that from one of my, older homies. And I ain't going to put them on blast, but they know who they are. Real talk. And I respect my older homie for keeping a G with me from day one, even all the way up until now. And that's what we need more of. We need more people like him to make a change. Real talk. We need more people like him so that we can make a change.